Let's see, what we're looking at a 1.6 deficit. We're almost done with our artillery deficit. The main problem is our factories are producing at minus 20%.
Okay, but
So we're getting some computers.
so behind the scenes, we're doing our job at least. We're keeping the country moving forward.
I mean, the U.S. starts with 4 tech slots, and that's nothing to sneeze at. Our economy might be in shambles, but we are still one of the most innovative countries in the world. So
we're gonna need it.
Yeah.
All right, we're back in the negative 200s. We keep Indian Citizenship Act.
All
What a
right.
In idea!
In order to gain more sympathy from the North and West, it's been proposed by the Senate and the House so both houses of Congress, that an Indian Citizenship Act be passed, effectively elevating all indigenous peoples of the United States from second-class citizens to full citizenship.
That's an amazing
I think
idea.
that dovetails fantastically with our candidate, who has Native American ancestry.
And at this point, with highly polarized politics,
Yeah.
we need a base. So now every Native American voter that has just been given the right to vote, I'd say probably over 90% of them, will vote for our boy Curtis.
Yeah.
So that will help.
Historically, Charles Curtis, ironically, was not as friendly to Native Americans as you would think. By the way, the Mokleek is now at war with Mongolia over here in Asia.
Mongolia should run train on them.
How do you feel about that? Mongolia under the crazy fascist Ungern Sternberg guy.
Not good. At least India and Afghanistan signed a white peace. That conflict is over. It didn't change anything.
Yeah, I think maybe India gets this back, but yeah, for the most part, it doesn't really change much.
All right.
Get
We
some
have machine tools, concentrated industry,
We're not going to really be getting.
and we need that factory output buff.
I'm not too worried that there's going to be a bunch of strategic bombers coming from Canada. Yeah.
No, and we need the factory
By the
output
way,
back,
let's-
like so bad.
Combine these fighter groups, because in this patch, there's really no advantage to having.
Man, we need that factory output. Oh
Yeah. I mean, we're building up our production efficiency, which is good. Our factories are becoming more efficient, so our growth is going to accelerate.
Sacco and Vanzetti. What an interesting event. I learned about this in law school.
You are
So
a
Sacco
legal
and
historian
Vanzetti
here.
are anarchist immigrants who were accused of murder, of killing a paymaster at a bank in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And their trial was an absolute firestorm. It was the first media trial firestorm. I mean, the metaphor isn't perfect, but this is the O.J. Simpson trial of this era.
Interesting.
They were convicted, and they exhausted their appeals trying to get out of their sentence. They say they were convicted falsely. Each appeal was denied, but they had some good reasons to be appealing. They had an early form of ballistic science that brought into question the prosecution's story.
Oh, wow.
They had recanted testimony, and they even had the confession of another criminal saying he did it.
Huh.
But every appeal was overturned, and the guilty verdict stood. Years later, I forget which president did it. I want to say it was a governor. I'm sorry. I want to say Michael Dukakis pardoned them.
Really?
And you could say they're still on trial to this day. It is one of law students' favorite conversations about justice just being in perspective and how convincing the jury is everything, and outcomes get squirrely and appeals are hard.
Interesting.
So it's an interesting case. What do we think, though? Are we going to pardon Sacco and Vanzetti, or are we going to let the Massachusetts jury put them behind bars?
If we pardon them, the syndicalists and the radical socialists gain a lot, and then the America First, the authoritarian Democrats, and the paternal autocrats, which is the America First party, gain less. If we proclaim them guilty, there's some fireworks. The America First gets stronger, and the syndicalists and the radical socialists get a little bit weaker. The Socialist Republic of Italy will like us a little more if we do this.
Which they hate us. So, I mean, plus 10, we're still in the red.
Personally, if I have to choose, I'd rather give more support to the syndicalists than
Also,
to the...
knowing what I know about the appeals and whatnot,
I
couldn't tell you if Sacco and Vanzetti were guilty or innocent or not. But to me, reasonable doubt exists. Plenty of reasonable doubt. They should not have been convicted. There was a reasonable doubt. Let's do the right thing here.
I'd say foreign affairs-wise, this loses us international favor.
Yes.
This gains us international favor.
Yes. So that is the other reason I would argue.
All right, so we're going to whisper in Hoover's ear that he should pardon these guys.
And he does.
And let's see what that does to our party makeup. So the CSA...
22%.
So the Republicans still have a plurality, Democratic at 16%. The CSA is actually stronger.
And I'm imagining
than
the Democrats and us are in a bit of a coalition right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'd imagine polarization between us and the Democrats is not actually very high at the moment.
And hey... low stability.
And that factory output boost, that is awesome.
We can now build more factories. We now have more to work with. It's very positive. Actually, we can start trading for rubber and chromium, I think. Can we get some chromium going from South Africa?
We can.
We get some rubber from the Netherlands, Dutch East Indies. That will help our naval production quite a lot.
That's amazing.
And we're only at minus 10% factory output, not minus 20%.
That's glorious. The Great Heat
Oh,
Wave.
shit.
So we get the Great Flood, and then months later, a record heat wave.
Should I read these in a transatlantic radio broadcaster voice? A heat wave has struck the continental United States and Canada, the most severe heat wave in modern history of North America. The Great Heat Wave started in June and went up over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 38 Celsius for our friends across the pond.
Oh my god, that's hot as fuck.
As drought conditions worsen due to a continuing lack of rain. Now in July, the heat has reached an all-time records in Steele, North Dakota. Temperatures have reached 121 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 50 degrees Celsius. In Ohio, temperatures have reached 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to tying. Okay, I can't keep.
This is close to tying record high of 1934. This comes at a time when major political interests with the America First Council and major force in Western Midwest politics, and socialist and syndicalist mobs and militias gathering arms in the Great Lakes region.
Oh my!
The drought is continuing, and over 3,000 reported deaths have been linked to it. Many people are suffering from heat stroke and heat exhaustion.
Oh, the humanity!
Dear God, this is brutal. Farmers across the continent saw their worst harvest on record, causing corn and wheat prices to skyrocket. And this heat wave does not seem to be giving up anytime soon. This is just not our year, Bob.
So this very directly affects my constituency as a senator from Kansas, and really yours too, because there's quite a lot of wheat production in.
Yeah, I mean it's
Colorado.
definitely it affects you more, but this is definitely bleeding over, and this isn't our year. Man alive, pray that our stability doesn't go down.
Yeah. As we say in the Front Range, everything east of Aurora is basically Kansas. So, we gotta get back under that 250.
Yeah. Yes.
Safe.
Our stability stays low instead of very low. The death of Berkman.
Okay.
John Reed, who is even more of a firebrand, is now the leader of the syndicalists. Herkman dies.
Would-be assassin Alexander Berkman passed away from a bat with a prostate condition. He will be taken back to Lithuania.
He was the leader.
The torch passes to Jack Reed.
Which is not good, by the way. Jack Reed is more of a man of action. Yeah,
he also has definite Soviet ties that we're a little bit wary of. What do you say, Bar and Stokes mortar tie?
Yeah, we need mortars.
The Bar is a fine machine gun. We'll replace it.
Please, stability. Please.
Yeah.
We need the production.
We need to have some factories. Gone with the Wind.
Yes!
Margaret Mitchell published today her novel, Gone with the Wind, which immediately received wide support as maybe the next Pulitzer Prize. That should be prize.
Mm-hmm. Set in the Old South during the American Civil War, many saw as a reminder of the strained political situation in the U.S., with many America First Southerners proclaiming the novel was supporting their cause. But it's a popular novel, and people enjoy it, and it gets us out of...
increases our stability.
Yeah, it gets us out of the utter political...
By the way, do we have... I believe we have a reconstruction path once the Civil War is over.
We do.
Yeah. So we can actually choose to redo Reconstruction our own way that's different from how it was done after the first Civil War.
The 4th of July, yes! Happy 4th, sir.
Happy 4th. This is exactly...
And our political power situation is actually now not... Yeah, we're not in crisis mode anymore, at least.
We might get up to average stability if there aren't any more, like, earthquakes or freaking tsunamis or whatever other natural disasters wanted to happen in 1936.
I know.
Edward VIII sends a letter to Hoover. With rising instability in the U.S., the new king of the British Empire decided to send a private letter to President Herbert Hoover,
which he's obviously shared with us.
Of course, yeah, we probably read it before he did, to be honest.
Yep. While the media doesn't know about the contents, it's speculated the king warned the president that in case of choosing the radicals, Canada and her allies would need to take drastic measures, as they don't want to spoil the stability on the Canadian-American border. So they're saying if the America First Party or the Syndicalists come to power, the Dominion of Canada will probably invade.
And let's remember, the British Empire is still kind of a thing. I mean, they've lost the home islands, but the Entente still controls quite a bit of colonial territory, not just Canada. And
they have concentrated population and resources in Canada, so this Canada is probably even more developed than the real Canada of 1936 was. Yeah. I mean, the entire British government is in Ottawa currently, so that's significant. All in. Let's see. We could really use some army experience, so we could start beefing up some of these divisions, but At least our political power situation is no longer an absolute clusterfuck disaster territory.
Yeah.
We're almost to minus 150, which would be awesome.
We're still missing about 1,000 rifles, but all things told, that's not too bad.
No.
If you consider that a standard infantry division, let's see, manpower use here. Got about 9,300 men in this division.
It's getting to September, though, y'all, so the presidential campaign is actually starting to heat up.
Great heat wave is over. Yes! People from Vancouver to Los Angeles to New York and Washington, D.C. let out a sigh of relief as the great heat wave of 1936 has come to an end. And now a cold front has spread over North America, with the United States' deadliest natural disaster of the 20th century coming to a close. The estimated death toll reached 5,000.
That's a ton of dead people, Bob.
Oh, my. But while the heat wave ends, a new chapter in American history is about to begin.
At least we got a plus 20, Bob.
Can Cora and her friends save the world from whatever bullshit is going on this time?
Tune in next time.
All right. We could use an avatar. I think the world of Kaiserreich would benefit from that.
And we almost have our new divisions trained, too. The new cavalry and army divisions
well, at least the cavalry division. The army division is being held up by not enough rifles.
Superior firepower.
Awesome.
All right, so we're going to research delay. Plus 10 organization.
Very useful. Very, very useful.
Our army is functional.
And it opens up the delay.
A day in September.
The social and political consensus in American society has broken down, and the current presidential election campaign is like nothing we've ever seen. The America First Union Party is organizing right-wing militias in the South and the Midwest, and syndicalists control the streets of Chicago and Detroit. To avoid a complete breakdown of our society, some of our senior military commanders believe that it may be necessary to suspend the Constitution and cancel the election.
So those are your contacts in the military are advising you to suspend the Constitution. Is it time?
I think we have to let the elections go ahead.
I think we do. Yeah. Otherwise, we literally surrender our identity as a nation.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
We gotta do it. It's not time to give up being America. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. So, of course, we will support our... Oh, it's not time for the election.
Yeah, nope. And we kind of need the political power, so...
Yeah. Okay, we
cavalry.
have a new cavalry division. This is going to be the second cavalry division, and we'll go ahead and train them up.
And we don't usually do cavalry, but we need mobile forces right now. I'm glad we have a second cavalry division.
Yep, they'll help. They'll be a help.
So election day is in a month.
So this is going to be the second cavalry. Actually, let's stop producing cavalry so we can get another infantry division out faster. There we go.
All right, how's our factories doing? Although it is election day.
Oh yeah, election day is about to come up. All right, the 1936 U.S. presidential election. The results are finally in from what has probably been the most ideologically contested presidential election the United States has ever witnessed. It's probably not the end of our problems, but for the time being, victory goes. I think we're going to support our guy, Curtis.
Yep, Curtis. Our chromium trade was terminated.
Okay, apparently they didn't like that. So, the vice president for the successful but flagging Hoover administration, Curtis is the voice of compromise and reform in the American government. First president of Native American ancestry, which serves as an effective rallying point for racial justice, which we like. He brings an affable face and new commitment to American values of liberty and freedom for all men, although many wonder if he'll have the resolve to create a localization text for this national focus that doesn't get cut off by the event bar.
So we gotta bypass it, right? Yep, alright.
Gotcha.
Damn long.
America First contests the election results. They suspect Reed rigged the election. Reed also thinks that the election was rigged. Everybody thinks it's rigged.
But in the meantime,
we're
going to pass the Economic Relief Act.
Yeah.
So you and I are getting to work in Congress to pass.
Yes.
I envision we're doing the whipping. We're doing the party whipping.
Oh yeah.
Calling Republican and Democrat senators and being like, "All right, folks, we've got to do something to help our people now before this unrest boils up any further. We've got to..."
Policy that helps organize as vice president is given new life and strength to address the depression, get America
and
back
a
on
net
feet.
plus 10% to our factory outputs. That just about takes us to the situation where our economy is not a disaster anymore.
Yes, indeed.
We have the mortar and industry. Awesome.
We have a lot of stuff going on technologically. We're still a little bit ahead of time on that. We're still ahead of time on
Mountaineers,
that. Mountaineers. We're going to need some Mountaineers, actually. Probably the radio reinforcement rate. And then,
artillery.
Probably want to upgrade.
We want some interwar artillery.
Yeah, we still have World War I artillery, apparently.
All right, Long establishes the Minutemen. So,
paramilitary force in the South.
Huey Long has literally just organized a small army of rebels, is what that means. That, in Washington, our concern rate is now going through the absolute roof.
We have a concern. We are that Doge meme that has a concern.
Yes.
We need to renew our trade. So let's see. Oh,
we don't have any. Our stability's about to take a hit, probably. Downfall in stability. Yep.
Low stability. Very low stability. Well.
Ouch. But it's still better than it was.
Our factory output is better. Yeah, better than it was at one point. Our factory efficiency is growing steadily. So we're just having a really hard time making
stuff. President Hoover legitimizes our succession.
Nice.
That's good.
Okay, good.
Because remember, the Republicans and the Democrats are still the plurality. So a legitimate succession is not like an inconsiderable boon. Our democracy, what that means is...
Actually, we almost have a majority because of the election event firing. Between
we are almost back to normal, and that puts our factory output to plus 5%.
There we go.
The Economic Relief Act is passed, and I think the day President Curtis signs it, man, we order governors of every state get to frickin' work.
Oh, it's not even Inauguration Day yet. We passed that under Hoover, actually.
Yep.
So Civil Liberties Act.
God, we could use plus 5% national unity.
As President Curtis takes office, he gives a stirring speech over the radio to the whole nation addressing the political conflict. He says that the guiding ideal for his administration will be malice towards none and charity towards all. To that end, he passes the Civil Liberties Act 30 years early to help safeguard freedom and liberty in America, a token gesture for the most part. One that might just save America.
But we could use plus 5% national unity, and we could sure as hell use plus 50 political power.
Yeah, we could also use industrializing Colorado, which we can now do.
Yup.
We should also be able to renew our trade. Sure, the German Empire is willing to offer us a good price on rubber. Looks like South Africa is still the best game in town for chromium.
And look at that should actually our factory situation.
Yeah, plus 15 now. Charles Curtis' inauguration. After his election, Curtis addressed the nation. He called for calm in these times of difficulty and that all Americans need to come together to overcome the challenges that face the nation. Whether the rest of the nation would listen to the message was another story. All right. Well, we're turning this sumbitch around. But we have a New Year's Day strike on our hands.
That's not good. In protest of the election results, the CSA cripples the economy. Thanks, guys.
They're setting up trade unions to run the cities of the north. All right. Well.
And just like that...
And long Southern rally, launched a massive rally in support for the America First.
But President Curtis is not going to let that go.
So ending the strike that was launched by the CSA was one of the first priorities of the new president. He considered negotiation to be the best alternative. Yeah, I think that's...
We've got to try.
Yeah.
They've crippled our economy. Like, we have got to try.
Well, and we've got to have good political power, too.
Perhaps there's
hope.
All right,
Curtis and Reed sat down in Chicago in an attempt to come to some sort of understanding. It would not be easy, as Reed and the CSA had some extreme views. Curtis hoped that through patient negotiation, he'd bring...
Go, Mr. President.
All right.
Go, Mr. President. Damn you, Huey.
Long demands to be present. Demanded America First be involved in negotiations with Reed to ensure Curtis doesn't give the country away. It will no doubt be a negative one. It may destroy...
He has no business there. This is a negotiation between the president. This is a negotiation between the president and Reed. This guy can't just muscle his way into government affairs.
Yeah.
Like, I feel good about that.
Let's kick him out.
He is not invited.
All right, so Reed demanded a minimum wage be set.
We're good with that.
I'm okay with that. 40-hour work week. Sure.
Yeah.
Welfare system for the unemployed.
I'm
so
good
far,
with that
so
too.
good. And give trade unions more power in government to overcome...
That I'm not okay with.
Okay.
Because that's undemocratic, right?
All right.
He's asking that we use our shadow government essentially to beef up trade union influence independent of the ballot box. So he's asking for something undemocratic. That's where I would draw the line.
Okay.
I'm not going to wield our shadow government powers in favor of trade unions.
So basically, if we gave in to all of his demands, we'd lose 100 political power. Commune of France, Union of Britain would love us. The Mexican states, which are syndicalists, would like us. Canada would hate us. If we implement some of them, we only lose 20 political power.
And we still gain...
And the diplomatic situation changes much less drastically. Excuse me.
And the syndicalists don't explode in popularity in our own borders.
I don't think we have 100 political power to give anyway.
No, and I said,
us.
I draw the line at using our shadow government powers for trade unions undemocratically. I'll give him the other three.
All right.
We'll pass unemployment, like unemployment legislation. We'll pass the 40-hour work week, and we'll install a low minimum wage.
Guess who doesn't like that plan?
Of course he doesn't.
Huey Long. Let's see.
Curtis. We can't give in to him right after we make a deal. We lose legitimacy. It's like, we'll implement some reforms. Sorry, Huey pushed us. We can't do it. I mean, it hurts, but fuck this guy.
Let's give him what assurances we can.
Yeah, we'll be like, we didn't give the country away, Huey, but we're not going back on our word.
And we're back to very low stability. MacArthur privately met with the president today and made a shocking proposal, the assassination of Huey Long. Analysis of reports from spies from within the America First Party. By the way, let's stop training these guys, because I have a feeling they're going to need to fight soon.
Yep.
Indicated the entire movement would tear itself apart without his charismatic leadership. By the way, can we tag an extra division on here? Can we... There we go. Awesome. And while it might lead to extensive rioting, it was definitely preferable to an organized uprising, which appeared more and more likely.
Dude, this is a step you can't go back from.
Well, here's
You're
what I think.
You're assassinating a political leader, dude. You can't go back from that.
Huey's causing us a lot of trouble, but I want to see him fire the first shot. I think that's an important distinction to make.
And I believe that history will remember this moment differently. If we assassinate this guy, I don't think you can go back from that. You know what I mean? Like, we were afraid of a popular leader of the opposition, even though he's kind of leaning insurrectionist right now. We were afraid of him. And we were afraid of him enough to kill him to silence him. That's not censorship. That's not subversion or suspension of the First Amendment. That is assassination of an opposition leader. We can't do that. We can't.
If they want to revolt, I want to see them raise their rifles first, so we know how.
And here's the thing, exactly. That gives us legitimacy to shoot back, and then we can usher in a world without them because they'll be dead.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't get a disaster. Come on. We just need 6 more political power to be out of disaster territory.
Come on, guys.
Let's stay at very low stability. Let's not get to horrible.
Come on.
And we are safe. All right.
Okay, well, safe-ish.
Okay.
All right. How goes our act, our national focus?
We are about to pass the Civil Liberties Act, which will give us 50 political power, which is really good, and national unity, which is really good.
Yes! Up to 65% national
Nice.
unity. So we just gave African Americans and Native Americans the rights they deserve.
Yeah.
Civil protections, increased civil protections. So we just struck down Jim Crow and just struck down the discriminatory reservation policies that we put the Native American nations under.